The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is a very important part of the Canadian Constitution. This video will give you more information on this important charter. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms was entrenched in the Canadian Constitution on April 17, 1982. This means that our rights and freedoms are protected by the Constitution. This charter applies to every level of government and overcomes the limitations of the previous Bill of Rights. The first section of the charter deals with the idea of reasonable limits. Rights and freedoms may be limited if the limitation can be justified in a free and democratic society. Courts usually decide what reasonable means on a case-by-case basis. There is a simple four-step guide to analyzing a potential charter case. First, does the charter apply to this case? 2. Has a freedom or right in the charter been infringed upon? 3. Does the reasonable limits clause justify the infringement? If not, is there a remedy provided by the charter? Another very important clause of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the Notwithstanding Clause. This clause allows governments to enact or maintain laws notwithstanding the fact that they may violate the rights and freedoms in the Charter. If a government uses this clause, the laws that they are enacting must be reviewed every 5 years. The most common use of the Notwithstanding Clause has been to do with minority language rights in Quebec. Section 2 of the Charter explains the basic freedoms given to all Canadians. These freedoms include the freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, and freedom of peaceful assembly and association. The freedom of conscience and religion allows everyone in Canada to practice and follow their religion or faith. No one can be forced to act in a way that violates their religious belief. The freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression includes all forms of communication and expression. This freedom may be limited if a person promotes hate or discrimination. The freedom of peaceful assembly is usually associated with the right to participate in peaceful demonstrations. The freedom of association refers to the right of individuals to join together in groups, things like political parties, unions, clubs, and so on. Democratic rights in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms give the citizens the right to vote. It also guarantees that election must be held every 5 years. Mobility rights allow you to enter and leave Canada and to move between provinces and territories. The legal rights covered in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms covers your personal and procedural rights in the criminal justice system. These rights are available to you when dealing with the police or with the court system. Equality rights protect you from discrimination. Specific grounds for discrimination include race, ethnic origin, color, religion, gender, age, mental or physical disability, and sexual orientation. A controversial equity issue in recent years has been equal rights for same-sex couples. The language rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms protect Canada's official languages in all government institutions. Canada has 2 official languages, English and French. These sections guarantee that both languages have equal importance in government matters. All Canadian laws must be printed in both French and English. Under the Charter, courts and governments have 3 remedies if a legislation is found to be unconstitutional. It can be struck down. That is, the court rules that the law violates one or more of the Charter rights and is therefore invalid. It can be read down. That is, it's ruled that the law violates one or more of the Charter rights and it needs to be changed or amended. Or it can be read in. The court rules that the law needs to be changed or amended, but the law is still constitutional. Anyone who believes that their rights have been infringed upon can apply to a court for a remedy. There is a difference in jurisdiction between the courts and the legislature. Governments are elected to pass and change laws. Our courts have the power to interpret these laws and to decide whether or not they are constitutional. Judicial activism occurs when judges put their own views and values into court judgments.